Commander Drax Vizoon adjusted his ceremonial armor as he strode down the polished corridor of the Galactic Military Academy. His four-fingered hand brushed against the collection of military commendations adorning his chest plate, each one a testament to his 37 glorious cycles of service to the Caltharian Empire. His naturally stern face, with its protruding bone ridge and yellow slitted eyes, had been crafted by evolution to inspire fear. The 7-foot-tall commander had spent decades perfecting that fear into an art form. Another day babysitting multi-species garbage, Vizoon muttered to his aide, Lieutenant Pax Nurok, who scurried alongside him with a data tablet. When I commanded the 7th Fleet, we conquered 3 systems in a single rotation. Now I'm reduced to training the dregs of the galaxy. Yes, Commander. Very unfortunate, sir, Nurok replied, his voice carefully neutral. Everyone knew Vizoon's assignment to the Academy was punishment for his excessive brutality during the Regelian conflict. The official term was rehabilitation assignment, but no one dared say that to the commander's face. The Galactic Military Academy stood as the pride of the United Species Collective, a gleaming complex of training facilities orbiting the neutral planet Taris Prime. Species from across 12 galaxies sent their brightest to train in the arts of war and diplomacy. The concept of unified military training was still relatively new, only established after the devastating Hive Wars proved that no single species could stand alone against certain threats. As they approached the main training arena, Vizoon's jaw tightened at the sight of the day's schedule. Humans. Again. He spat the word like a curse. Humans were among the newest additions to the collective, discovered only 15 cycles ago. Their homeworld, a watery blue marble called Earth, had barely achieved interstellar travel when a collective survey ship happened upon them. Initially dismissed as unremarkable bipeds with no exceptional abilities, humans had gradually earned a peculiar reputation. Soft-skinned weaklings, Vizoon growled. No claws, no natural armor, pathetic sensory capabilities, and laughable physical strength compared to even the Flaxians, and those creatures are practically gelatinous. Lieutenant Nurok hesitated before speaking. The reports do suggest they possess unusual adaptability, sir. Adaptability, Vizoon sneered. A polite term for hasn't evolved properly. The only reason they're even permitted in this academy is the collective's ridiculous inclusive recruitment policy. The doors to the training arena slid open, revealing 5 rows of cadets standing at perfect attention. 40 young representatives from 17 species, all wearing the standard gray training uniforms of Academy initiates. Vizoon's gaze immediately found the humans, 6 of them scattered among the formations, and their smooth skin and rounded features making them look absurdly vulnerable next to the armored Draxians and the muscular Throlians. Look at them, Nurok, he said, not bothering to lower his voice as he entered the arena. Those humans think they belong here, that they could ever stand in battle alongside real warriors. It's almost amusing. The human cadets maintained their disciplined posture, eyes forward, expressions blank. But Commander Vizoon could have sworn he saw something flicker across their faces, not fear or intimidation as he expected, but something else. Something that, had he been more attentive to detail, might have given him pause. Was it amusement? Cadet Maya Lockhart stood in the 3rd row, position 4, breathing steadily as Commander Vizoon paced before the assembled trainees. At 24 years old, the former Chicago police officer had scored in the 98th percentile on the Academy's reflex testing, a fact conveniently omitted from her public file at the request of Earth's military intelligence. Today's exercise is simple, Vizoon announced, his voice echoing through the training arena. Threat assessment and neutralization in variable gravity conditions. The arena will shift between 0.5 and 2.5 standard gravities without warning. You will be evaluated on your adaptation speed and tactical decision-making. Maya mentally reviewed the training protocols. This was standard stuff, though the gravity variations would make it challenging. Humans actually had an advantage here. Earth's relatively high gravity meant they could function better in the heavier settings than some of the other species. Computer, initialize training scenario Vizoon Delta 9, the commander barked. The arena hummed to life. Holographic barriers rose from the floor, creating a complex maze. Target drones materialized at various points, their threat indicators glowing different colors to denote priority levels. Begin, Vizoon shouted. The cadets dispersed, moving through the maze with practiced coordination. Maya navigated smoothly, dispatching 3 low-level threats with her training pulse pistol. The gravity suddenly doubled, and she compensated instinctively, adjusting her stance and movement patterns. Vizoon stalked through the arena, criticizing performance with cutting remarks. He seemed particularly harsh with a Throlian cadet who had missed an overhead threat. Pathetic. Your ancestors would disown you for such blindness. Maya continued through the course, moving efficiently. As she rounded a corner, the gravity dropped to half standard, causing her to slightly misjudge her momentum. She stumbled, just barely, regaining her balance almost instantly. But it was enough to catch Vizoon's attention. Halt exercise. The commander's voice cut through the simulation. The holograms froze in place. Maya stood at attention as Vizoon stalked toward her, his yellow eyes narrowed to slits. Cadet Lockhart, he said, pronouncing her name with deliberate incorrectness. Explain your failure. Sir, I overcompensated for the gravity shift. It won't happen again, sir, Maya responded crisply. Vizoon circled her slowly. You humans, so confident despite your obvious inadequacies. He stopped directly in front of her. Your species should never have been admitted to this academy. You're a liability in real combat. The other cadets had frozen in place, watching the confrontation with wary eyes. Maya kept her gaze forward, face expressionless, though her heart rate had accelerated slightly. What do you have to say for yourself, human? Vizoon demanded, leaning down until his face was inches from hers. Nothing to add, sir. I made an error and acknowledged it. Vizoon's upper lip curled. Wrong answer. The correct response is to recognize your species' limitations and request transfer to non-combat divisions where your kind belongs. Maya remained silent. The tension in the room thickened. Your arrogance offends me, cadet, Vizoon growled. Without warning, his hand lashed out, striking Maya across the face with enough force to snap her head to the side. The sound of the slap echoed through the suddenly silent arena. Even the most hardened cadets flinched. Physical discipline was strictly forbidden under Academy regulations. More importantly, what Vizoon didn't know, what most species didn't know, was that among humans, striking another without consent was one of the gravest possible insults. For a long moment, no one moved. The Ilarian cadet beside Maya had backed away several paces. The Draxian in the front row had lowered his head, a gesture of discomfort in his culture. Lieutenant Nurok stood frozen, data tablet clutched to his chest, his scaled skin paling to a sickly green. Maya slowly turned her face back to Vizoon. A small trickle of blood ran from the corner of her mouth. The commander stared down at her, still radiating contempt, utterly unaware of the line he had just crossed. Let that be a lesson in humility, Vizoon said, his voice carrying in the silent room. Perhaps pain will teach you what words cannot. Maya's eyes, previously blank with military discipline, changed subtly. Something cold and dangerous flickered in their depths as she replied in a voice so quiet only Vizoon could hear her. Lesson received, Commander. Would you like to see what I've learned? Maya maintained perfect posture, her eyes the only indication of the storm brewing within. To anyone watching, she appeared composed despite the red mark blooming across her cheek. But behind her seemingly placid expression, Maya made a decision. Her right eye twitched twice, a deliberate signal. Deep within her cerebral cortex, A neural implant no larger than a grain of rice detected the specific muscle movement. The N7 Combat Enhancement System, or Night 7, as its developers called it, had been Earth's most closely guarded military secret for the past decade. Officially, it didn't exist. Unofficially, every human representative in potentially hostile extraterrestrial environments carried one. Commander Vizoon turned away from Maya, addressing the other cadets. "Let this be a demonstration of proper disciplinary." He never finished the sentence. The Night 7 flooded Maya's system with a precisely calibrated cocktail of synthetic adrenaline, endorphins, and neural accelerants. Time seemed to slow as her perception accelerated beyond normal human limits. Her pupils dilated, muscle fiber response time increased by 400%, and her brain processed visual information at nearly 3 times standard speed. To Maya, Vizoon now moved as if swimming through honey. To everyone else in the room, what happened next was nearly imperceptible. In less than half a second, Maya stepped forward, her right hand clamping onto Vizoon's outstretched wrist. Her left hand simultaneously found the nerve cluster at the base of his neck, a Caltharian vulnerability detailed in classified xenobiology briefings that humans weren't supposed to have access to. With perfect biomechanical efficiency, she twisted, pulled, and applied 73 pounds of precisely directed pressure. Commander Drax Vizoon, decorated war hero, conqueror of 3 star systems, a terror of the Rigelian conflict, found himself face down on the training room floor, with his arm hyperextended behind him at an agonizing angle and searing pain radiating from his cervical nerve bundle. The entire maneuver had taken exactly 2.8 seconds. The assembled cadets gasped collectively. Lieutenant Nurok dropped his data tablet with a clatter that echoed through the stunned silence. "What?" How Vizoon sputtered, his voice strangled by both shock and pain. Maya kept the pressure steady, her voice remarkably conversational. An interesting fact about humans, Commander. We evolved as pursuit predators on a death world with 1.1 standard gravity. Our endurance, adaptability, and pattern recognition are off your charts. But that's not what you should be worried about right now." She applied slightly more pressure to the nerve cluster, causing Vizoon to emit a strangled gurgle. The commander's free hand scrabbled uselessly against the floor. You see, Maya continued, Earth has been contacted by 17 different alien civilizations in our pre-spaceflight history. 17. We've been studied, abducted, and in a few cases hunted. Long before we officially joined your collective. We knew we weren't alone in the universe, and we prepared accordingly. Around the room, the other human cadets had shifted their postures subtly. No longer trying to blend in, they now stood with unmistakable combat readiness. The other species noticed, many taking unconscious steps backward. The N7 Neural Enhancement System, Maya explained, as though giving an academic lecture, allows a trained human operator to temporarily access 100% of our physical capabilities. Normally, our brains limit us to about 30% to prevent self-injury, but with the proper neurochemical adjustments. She made her point by shifting her grip slightly, finding another pressure point that made Vizoon's eyes bulge. Every human in the collective military carries one, she said. Standard protocol activates it only in life-threatening situations. But there are exceptions for educational purposes. Lieutenant Nurok had recovered enough presence of mind to reach for his communicator, and security to Training Arena 7. Emergency. Maya glanced at him, still maintaining her hold on the commander. I wouldn't bother, Lieutenant. By now, the Academy's security feeds have been temporarily looped. It's standard human operational security. This conversation is officially not happening. Vizoon made another attempt to break free. Maya countered effortlessly, applying pressure to another nerve cluster that sent a fresh wave of pain through the commander's body. Humans have 13 major fighting styles specifically designed for interspecies combat, she informed him. This particular hold targets 3 Caltharian anatomical vulnerabilities simultaneously. Would you like me to demonstrate the other 17 ways I could incapacitate you from this position? How is this possible? Gasped a Meltorian cadet from the back row. Humans are listed as Threat Category D in the collective database. Maya offered a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Yes, we requested that classification ourselves. Much more convenient that way. Comprehension dawned on Vizun's face, mixed with growing horror. His species prided themselves on their martial prowess, on being among the apex predators of the collective. Yet here he was, immobilized by a creature he had dismissed as barely worth noticing. "The truth, Commander," Maya said, her voice dropping to a near whisper, "is that humans didn't join the collective because we needed protection. We joined because our xenopsychologists determined it would be better for everyone if we made friends rather than continued alone. But make no mistake, we came prepared for either outcome." "Please," Commander Vizun gasped, his voice barely audible. "Release me. I cannot breathe properly." The proud Caltharian warrior, who had never surrendered in 37 cycles of military service, was now reduced to begging. Sweat beaded on his scaled skin as Maya maintained precise pressure on his nerve clusters. The pain was unlike anything he had experienced in dozens of combat engagements. "What was that, Commander?" Maya asked, leaning closer. "I couldn't quite hear you over the sound of your previous lecture on human inadequacies." "I apologize," Vizun managed through clenched teeth. "Please, Mercy." Around them, the other cadets watched in absolute silence. The Academy's rigid species hierarchy unofficially established with the Caltharians near the top and humans somewhere near the bottom was crumbling before their eyes. The Throlian cadets exchanged glances, their ridge crests flaring in silent communication. The Ilarian junior officer, who had been recording the session on her datapad, now held it limply at her side, forgotten. "It's a fascinating concept, Mercy," Maya said, easing the pressure slightly but maintaining the hold. "On Earth, we have an old saying, respect is earned, not given. For thousands of years, humans fought each other. We developed combat techniques that you apparently never imagined possible. We've been killing each other in creative ways since before your ancestors crawled out of the methane swamps of Caltharia Prime." Lieutenant Nuruk had backed himself against the wall, his eyes wide with disbelief. "This is impossible," he whispered. "The human baseline assessments." "Were exactly what we wanted you to see," interrupted Cadet Thomas Reeves, another human trainee, speaking for the first time. "Did you really think we'd show our full capabilities during your standardized testing?" Maya maintained her hold but shifted to allow Vizun to breathe more comfortably. "Let me tell you a story, Commander. 12 years ago, when I was still a child, a ship landed in a field outside Chicago. It wasn't one of yours. They called themselves the Vex. They came to hunt. For sport." Her mind flashed back momentarily to the scenes that had defined her youth, the global panic as aliens made first contact in the most horrific way possible. 7 days of terror as the Vex hunted humans through the streets of major cities. And then, the turning point. "The Vex made a critical error," she continued. "They assumed technology equaled evolutionary superiority. They didn't expect resistance. Within 3 days, human special forces had captured one of their hunters alive. Within 5 days, we understood their weapon systems. By day 7, the last Vex ship was destroyed trying to leave Earth's atmosphere." Vizun's eyes widened at this revelation, a first contact scenario utterly absent from collective records. After the Vex, Earth's governments created the Xenological Defense Initiative. "The neural enhancers were just the beginning," Maya said. "Every human who leaves Earth carries one, along with other modifications we don't advertise. We approached the collective peacefully because our leaders determined cooperation was preferable to conflict, not because we needed your protection." She released Vizun's arm but maintained a hand near the nerve cluster at his neck, a warning. "We could have revealed our capabilities immediately, but our xenopsychologists advised against it. Many species would perceive us as a threat rather than potential allies. So we played the part of the eager, somewhat limited newcomers while we studied the collective from within. Bazoon slowly pushed himself to a sitting position, rubbing his arm where Maya had gripped it. His yellow eyes, usually so full of contempt, now held something new, fear mixed with dawning respect. "Why reveal this now?" he asked hoarsely. Maya stood to her full height, which suddenly seemed more imposing than her 5'8" frame should allow. "Because lesson for lesson, Commander. You taught me about Caltharian discipline. I taught you about human restraint. The next time you consider striking one of my kind, remember that we're not showing you everything we can do." One of the Draxian cadets stepped forward hesitantly. "If humans possess such capabilities, why accept subordinate positions within the collective military?" Maya smiled, and somehow that expression carried more weight than any threat. "Because the best place to learn about potential adversaries is by serving alongside them. And make no mistake, until today, every species in this room was considered a potential adversary." The training arena doors hissed open as Academy Overseer Jackson Teln VA strode in, flanked by 4 security officers. His elongated cranium and silver-flecked skin marked him as a Teresian, one of the founding species of the collective. His 6 eyes scanned the room rapidly, taking in the scene: Commander Vizoon sitting on the floor, Maya standing over him, and the circle of stunned cadets. "What in the 7 moons of Arcturus is happening here?" the Overseer demanded. Lieutenant Nurok stepped forward, attempting to salvage the situation. "Sir, there was a minor training incident." "A demonstration," Commander Vizoon interrupted, slowly rising to his feet with as much dignity as he could muster. "I was instructing the cadets on interspecies combat techniques." Overseer Teln V's multiple eyes narrowed simultaneously, a clear sign of disbelief among his kind. "Is that so?" He turned to Maya. "Cadet Lockhart, your account?" Maya deactivated her neural implant with another subtle eye movement, feeling the enhanced capabilities recede. "The commander was gracious enough to assist in demonstrating human defensive techniques, sir." The Overseer's expression remained skeptical, but before he could respond, his communication device chimed. He glanced at it, his posture stiffening. "I see." He looked up, addressing the room. "All cadets except Lockhart, dismissed to your quarters. His Commander Vizoon and Lieutenant Nurok remain." As the other cadets filed out, they cast backward glances at Maya. The Throlian cadets nodded respectfully as they passed. The Ilarians whispered among themselves. Word would spread through the Academy within hours. Once the room had cleared, Overseer Teln VA activated a privacy field around the remaining group. "I've just received a direct communication from Collective Intelligence Director Larna Vos. Apparently, several emergency protocols were triggered from this room." He turned to Maya. "Specifically, a Protocol Eagle 7 alert from your neural implant, Cadet Lockhart." Vizoon's head snapped up. "You knew?" The Academy administration knew about these human enhancements. "Not the Academy," Teln VA corrected. "Only the highest levels of collective intelligence. Humans have been classified as deceptively dangerous since they joined the collective. Their apparent technological disadvantage masks other capabilities." He activated a holographic display from his wrist device. A classified file appeared, showing humans categorized under threat assessment code Omega D3. Omega denoting potential species-wide military significance, Lieutenant Nurok read aloud, his voice faltering. D3 indicating deliberately downplayed capabilities with high strategic value. Director Voas has ordered this incident contained, the Overseer continued. The security feeds have been purged. As far as official records are concerned, this training session proceeded normally. Commander Vizoon straightened his uniform, his composure returning even as his pride remained bruised. Why maintain this charade? If humans possess such capabilities, why hide them? Because, Maya answered, most species react poorly to perceived threats. We joined the collective to build alliances, not inspire fear. Our leadership decided a gradual integration would be more successful than appearing as a potential military rival. Overseer Teln VA nodded. A decision supported by the collective council. Only 8 individuals outside Earth knew the full extent of human capabilities. Until today. Now 9, Bazoon said quietly. 10, counting Nurok. 11, counting myself, came a new voice from the doorway. A tall, elegant Selenian with crystalline skin entered the privacy field. Ambassador Thalia Brightstar, Earth's representative to the collective, moved with liquid grace as she approached the group. Ambassador Teln VA acknowledged with a respectful tilt of his head. I wasn't informed you were on station. I wasn't, she replied. Emergency teleport from the diplomatic hub. Quite uncomfortable, really. She turned to Maya. Cadet Lockhart, you've created quite the situation. Maya stood at attention. My apologies, Ambassador. The commander's actions triggered my defensive protocols. Brightstar studied Bazoon, who had the decency to look uncomfortable under her gaze. I understand there was a physical altercation initiated by an academy instructor. Bazoon drew himself up. I take full responsibility for my actions, Ambassador. I misjudged both the cadet and her species. A common error, Commander, though rarely demonstrated so dramatically. The ambassador turned back to Maya. As for you, Cadet, while your response was justified under our protocols, the revelation of classified capabilities creates complications. What happens now? Lieutenant Nurok asked. Ambassador Brightstar smiled. Now we adapt. The truth about humans was always going to emerge eventually. We merely accelerate certain diplomatic initiatives. And within the Academy, she gestured to Overseer Teln VA. Within the Academy, he continued, we will implement the contingency protocols. Human cadets will no longer be restricted to standard training regimens. Commander Bazoon will oversee an advanced combat course incorporating human techniques. Bazoon blinked in surprise. I will? Consider it both punishment and opportunity, Commander, the ambassador said. You have witnessed human combat capabilities firsthand and lived to analyze them. Your experience makes you uniquely qualified. As the officials continued discussing logistics, word of what had transpired spread through the Academy despite the official silence. By evening, the mess hall buzzed with whispered conversations. Being cadets from species that had previously ignored humans now sought their tables. Training partners who had held back against human opponents suddenly found reasons to miss scheduled sessions. And Maya Lockhart, who had wanted nothing more than to blend in and complete her training, found herself the reluctant center of attention, a living legend in an institution that had just discovered the folktales were true. Commander Drax Bazoon observed from the elevated platform as Cadet Maya Lockhart led the mixed-species tactical team through the simulation. 1 month had transformed both the Academy and his understanding of the galaxy. Adjust your formation, Maya called to the Draxian cadet on point. Remember that Hive Queens target the apparent leader first. Conceal your command structure. The cadets responded instantly, shifting into the human-developed chameleon formation that disguised unit hierarchy. Bazoon nodded approvingly. He had come to appreciate the elegant brutality of human combat doctrines, pragmatic, adaptable, and deceptively simple. Simulation complete, announced the Academy computer, 93% survival probability. New record for Scenario Theta 9. As the cadets celebrated, Bazoon descended to the training floor. Well done, Instructor Lockhart. Maya turned, surprise briefly crossing her features at the new title. Her recent battlefield promotion to training instructor at Bazoon's own recommendation still felt strange. Thank you, Commander. The team is progressing faster than anticipated. Walk with me, Bazoon said, gesturing toward the exit. They strolled through the Academy corridors, a sight that no longer drew stares. The initial shock of seeing the notorious commander in regular conversation with a human had faded into acceptance of the new reality. "I've submitted your tactical analysis to Collective High Command," Bizun said. They were impressed by the human approach to the next-ride defensive problem. Maya smiled. The solution was hardly revolutionary. Sometimes the simplest answer is to go through the front door with overwhelming force. Precisely what 17 collective strategists failed to consider, Bizun replied. They were so focused on finding the elegant solution that they missed the effective one. They reached the observation deck, a transparent dome offering a panoramic view of the stars. The Academy station orbited lazily above Terrace Prime, its night side glittering with city lights. "The Collective War College has requested human instructors," Bizun said after a moment. 3 positions in strategic operations, 5 in adaptive tactics. I recommended you for the Special Operations Division. Maya raised an eyebrow. That's a significant shift from last month when you were questioning whether humans belonged here at all. Bizun made the Caltharian gesture of acknowledgement, a palm pressed flat against his chest plate. I have advocated for 8 human officers to be added to the Collective Defense Council. Admiral Krex accused me of becoming a human sympathizer. His mouth twisted in what Maya had learned was a Caltharian smile. He shut up quickly when I offered to demonstrate the efficiency of human combat techniques on him personally. They watched as a collective cruiser glided past the station, its propulsion system leaving a faint blue trail against the starfield. The galaxy is adjusting, Maya observed, slower in some quadrants than others. The Throlian hegemony has already upgraded humans to priority diplomatic engagement status, Bizun confirmed. The Meltorians have requested a mutual defense treaty with Earth. Even the Rigelians have withdrawn their objections to human colony expansion in the Cygnus Arm. Fear is a powerful motivator. Respect is stronger, Bizun countered. The Collective doesn't fear humans, Lockhart. We respect your potential. You've accomplished in centuries what took other species millennia. Maya watched the distant stars, thinking of home. The neural enhancers were our first major breakthrough in human augmentation technology. Primitive by our current standards. Primitive? Bizun's head ridge flared in surprise. They allow reaction times that outmatch our best combat drones. Maya's lips curved into a cryptic smile. Let's just say Earth's technology revelation schedule has been accelerated by recent events. Ambassador Brightstar will be making an announcement next week regarding something called Phantom Protocol. Should I be concerned? That depends, Maya replied, on whether you're standing with us or against us when it's activated. She turned from the viewport, leaving Bizun momentarily speechless. As she reached the doorway, she paused. Humans have a saying, Commander, the best place to hide a tree is in a forest. Meaning? Meaning sometimes the best way to hide your true capabilities is to reveal lesser ones that are impressive enough to satisfy curiosity. She gave him a final glance over her shoulder. I look forward to tomorrow's training session, Commander. I think you'll find it educational. As Maya disappeared through the doorway, Commander Bizun turned back to the stars, his gaze drifting toward the small blue-green planet that was barely visible from this distance. He had lived through 17 major conflicts, conquered 3 planetary systems, and survived the infamous Rigelian death pits. Yet nothing in his long military career had prepared him for the revelation contained in that human's knowing smile. The greatest predators, he realized, were not those who displayed their claws, but those who convinced the galaxy they had none until the moment they decided to strike.